It's not my job to bring you home at the end of your shift. That's easy. It's my job to bring you home at the end of a 25-year career and teach you everything that I possibly can teach you. You know, we'll talk about this later, and then it ended up into being coaching and mentoring. You know, on this call, I was like, so I guess out of all of this, you want to be, you know, a servant leader or a high performance leader, but really it boils down to adaptive leadership and when you're in each of these roles. And it's not just leading, you know, a fire company.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about, it's leading an organization.
That's
it's
cool.
Developing relationships of like, hey, I want to change this hose load, and you do it on your rig, but it affects, you know, is your hose the right diameter? Is it going to affect the baffles and maintenance? Do you got to buy new stuff to affect resource? So I was like, if you have those relationships to begin with, then all of a sudden you're not butting heads, you know? So it's about looking at this organizationally as a fire and life safety mission as in the entirety, like a three-legged stool, right? So you've got your training and development, you got your resource management, you got your pub ed, and then the little braces are you know, community risk reduction and stuff like that. If you develop relationships throughout, then you're an infinite leader, like Sinek, right? It's an infinite game and not a finite game. Of course we want to do search and rescue and lead our fire stuff. That's easy. It's the other stuff to do that. And then once those relationships are made, you find that you don't have many obstacles.
It's fun to think about like the leadership. But actually, can I have you snag that? Put that water down on the table.
Yeah, you bet.
We're actually we're already starting to record. It's whatever you decide we want to take out as we can. But but what's interesting too about that though is like when on that leadership part of things, so many people think about like, you know, and again, I could be totally off kilter here, and we can actually. Okay. Good. But it's funny, you're good. Thinking about like leadership on that though, you have so many people who like come up, and I'm talking football right now, and we can kick off in a second if we need to, but it's like people think like, oh, I was a player, now I'm a coach, I got to do things differently, or I'm coming up in the ranks of like a business, and now that I have this leadership role, I got to do things differently. Probably like how you were thinking about your speed, like, oh, here's what I'm gonna say. Right. But it's some people, it just comes so natural. It's like you're getting promoted to this position because you are who you were. You're a natural leader. And some people think they have to think about it more, and it's like, you don't have to, just be who you were. That's exactly the person that we want to have as a leader. So sure, you have that.
That's true, and you don't want to come off as arrogant and going, well, what kind of leader are you? Natural, you know, because I really, when they called, I was like, I had to dig deep. Yeah. And it was uncomfortable to figure out, oh, I'm not like that all the time. And like I said, my bosses probably don't think I'm a great leader. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like we talked about earlier, I'm a firefighters.
That's exactly it, man. We were talking about, for those who weren't in our conversation, it was like, are you a player coach or are you an owner coach?
Right.
And you were 100%, it sounds like, you were the player's coach.
At the end, I did another podcast called The Scrap with Corley, and at the end, he goes, if you could tell one thing at the end of this, what do you want the guys to know? I said, I want the guys to know that I cared about them. That's it. That's it. I don't need anything else. I don't need them to know that, I got inducted to the Arizona Firefighter Hall of Fame. I don't need them to know I did this in my career or taught at this conference. It's all fluff. Who cares? In the big scheme of things, and I know Johnny and I just talked about it, I said, it's not my job to bring you home at the end of your shift. That's easy. It's my job to bring you home at the end of a 25-year career and teach you everything that I possibly can teach you in that interim, you know, in that time frame, and leave you with all the answers that I can provide you. So, but
that's cool, man. I mean, I think back to coaches that I had. I think back to experiences that I had. And it was like, I mean, think about like when you were a firefighter and you're just starting, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm sure this is probably, because I know it was for me when I was playing football or at any job, you always look at leaders and we're like, you know what, I wish I was either A, more respected, or, oh, this person does a really good job of respecting. And it seems like those leaders who have that natural role are the ones who care for the people that are underneath them.
That took me years to figure out, honestly. I mean, as a young firefighter, and excuse my French and you can edit it out, but I was like, oh man, you know, chicks dig it. Right, I'm going to get more ass than a toilet seat. Right, so this is perfect. I get the ride on a fire truck. It's like backdraft when we pull out of the bay. You know, there's 3 engines and a ladder and a BC at my fire station. We all roll out on the ramp. You know, it was cool. Leadership and the fire behavior and all of that stuff, I did not care about until later on. You know, I wanted to go hang from helicopters, and I did the technical rescue thing and the hazardous material thing. I did the bike team, you know, anything I could get my hands on. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, I think I need to do better at my job. And I took a class from Aaron Fields, who I love and respect. And, you know, he teaches the Nozzle forward, and he, you know, told a story that really resonated with me. I took it with me for sure, and changed my career path. You know, I'm like, I need to get better at my job. I have an obligation to these guys at this point in my career as a senior firefighter, as a pump operator. We call them engineers, chauffeurs if you're from back east. But, you know, I have an obligation to help these guys and bring them up at this point in my career. And when I made captain, you know, I think I didn't have very long on the job, 7 or 8 years. And then I went to Hurricane Katrina and did a bunch of stuff there, still, you know, technical rescue. I got to see a lot of stuff, you know, and definitely got into fire behavior, managing big lines. I met a guy named Brian Brush, who, again, impacted my career more than I can even put into words. You know, it's just that through his class at FDIC, of all places. And he's like, anybody wants this presentation, come get it. You know, and he got kind of inundated, so I handed him a challenge coin and said, hey, man, your class didn't suck. And called him a month later. He goes, you're the guy that gave me that challenge coin. I'm like, yep. And we've been friends ever since. So I started teaching with him. That's what brought me out here to, you know, my first class with the 2.5-inch big hand lines. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And then after the Nozzle Forward, I taught in Boise, and I think there's 4 chiefs in that class originally. And it was me and another guy named Jason Coy, and we were just teaching nozzle work. And it was Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Eagle, and somewhere else. It's somewhere in the Treasure Valley. And the next day we had 200 people in that class. And we were just talking about nozzle work. And that's where it all took off. It all snowballed from there, one way or another.
Isn't it crazy, man, those things that you do like that, the things that just come natural to you, that's like, this is just second nature to me. You know, like, oh, people, everyone, and then you go do this, and some people are just like, are you kidding me? Like, how have we not heard about this in the past? And it just goes to show, even more to your point earlier, it's like the things that just come natural to you and you just don't think that it's not. There's a lot of people who have to hear that, because some people just have that natural ability to lead, or, oh, this just makes sense to me. But then you start talking to people about it, it probably comes more natural than anything else you talk about. And it's something that people come up to you after like, dude, I've never even heard that before. This is phenomenal.
It's still crazy to me, because actually on the way to the airport today, my girlfriend asked me, she's like, hey, do you remember your first class and how nervous you were? I go, I do. And I still get that nervous every class.
Yeah.
And she goes, you do? I go, absolutely. I said, one is I care and I want to provide a good product, right? Yep. I don't want to come here with old information or out-of-date information. I want to still be relevant and again, bring you home safe and give you the right answers. And she's like, oh, wow, I wouldn't expect that. I teach a lot every month and, you know, different places, but I still want to deliver a product that is relevant to you, that ultimately, you know, he brings you home safe, hopefully, at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's cool, man, because we have people, and it seems to be a common trend, a lot of the most successful firefighters that we have on here, which they all been extremely successful, is the biggest thing is they care.
Right.
And we have volunteer departments on here, you know, a couple different times now. And the same thing, it's like, you know what, they could have probably just sat at the job that they have and been a good firefighter, but they're continuing to get, you know, EMS, they're trying to get a bunch of different ranks that they're trying to go up and get new certifications and constantly keeping up with their skill, because they genuinely care for the people in that community and the people they're working for.
And it sounds silly, but you have to be a lifelong student here. This is not something where you can say, oh, I learned everything I did in the fire academy and think that a train the trainer is good enough for you. You have to get out, take outside classes, get outside influence, and learn from other people's stories, you know, mistakes or successes. Yeah. So, and if you don't do that, you're failing your own organization. And organizationally, I think a lot of them fail to support people that want to do that. You know, whether it's budget or other reasons, you know, that I think there's got to be a means to get people out and start talking to people that, like the Kevin Shays, the Brian Brushes, the Aaron Fields. Like, you need to hear from these people. And then for me, my organization at one point got sick and tired of what I had to say, right? And then there's a leadership video on YouTube called The First Follower. Just the shirtless dancing guy.
Okay.
Right? It's in my presentation, and it's probably one of my favorites. But it talks about the first follower and how instrumental they are, because you can't be a leader without a first follower. Right? And I've got those guys that are instrumental in getting stuff done, not only organizationally in our state right now. You know, they've one of them said, hey, his name's Cody Clark, and he said, hey, man, I feel like you're Morpheus. He goes, you're taking the red pill or the green pill, or the blue pill. And he said, you know, the first 16 years I'm on the job, I feel like I was living day one until we started talking. And ironically, I'd heard it from another guy in Glendale who teaches now. His name's Dave Colson. Yeah. And these guys are taking off. And honestly, without them, the information would stop flowing. And they call every once in a while and talk to me. And I'm like, this is your show now, man. Like, my time is done. You guys are doing great things, and you're doing it better than I am. And they're super proud of them. You know, just watching it run. And I was like, there's no bigger honor than having you guys go do this and watch it, right? Even if your stories are different, but the information is the same, the outcome is the same. I said, you're just justifying this and, you know, solidifying all the information with your own stuff. Yep. So without those guys, and there's another one, Tammy Sifa, she's also from Glendale, and a couple other people that I could, you know, go on that are just instrumental in the Arizona Fire Service right now. That's cool. And they'll take it other places, so it's cool to watch.
That's really cool. It's like we were talking about earlier about with your kids too. It almost has the same type of feeling. Like, even if we have an employee that ends up, there's some employers who are just like, and probably people in your position is like, someone wants to rank and you're like, oh, you almost take offense to it sometimes. But the good leaders are the ones that say, you know what? I tell my employees all the time, I'm like, look, I hope you guys all start your own businesses one day. I think you should. And the reason why I think that is because you guys all have that it factor, because you're working here already, first of all. And if I didn't have that type of person, is that really the type of employee that I want? And to go off your point even more, to be a good leader, you got to start off as a good follower, man. Yep. You 100% have to.
For sure. And man, I think originally when I started teaching at Arizona State Fire School, I picked somebody from different agencies. And they're like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, well, it doesn't do any good if it's just mine, right? Yep. I need to start influencing the state instead of, you know, just me. Yeah. There's a guy, Jeremiah King, out of northern Arizona up by Prescott. Same thing. You know, he comes down, takes the classes, been involved since day one. Mm-hmm. Like, the guy is a stud. I mean, I bring all these people in and just watch them run, and they outperform me hands down, which is the best thing to watch.
That's cool.
You know, it is super cool.
That is cool. And that's one of those things too, I think about, like, there's certain times too, as you get into like leadership roles, is that you realize there's times too where it's like, I tell people, like, you want to go out to soccer practices sometimes, like kids. I'm like, you know what? There's times to be Batman. There's times to be Robin. Yep. And I'm 100% in a Robin moment in those times. Cause I'm like, you know what? You know more than I do on this topic. But it's cool because once you get in that leadership role and you start getting people around you who really know, there's probably scenes that you've been on where you're like, hey, Johnny, whoever it is, this is you. You're like, what, you know exactly, this is your situation because you're a good leader and you realize and know how to pull that out of people.
For sure. And
that's cool.
It's really cool to watch. Like, I could not have ended my career on a better note. Like, seriously, in 27 years, I never really wanted to promote to Battalion Chief, and I did I thought I would do it the last couple, and then we have this thing called the drop. Oops, hit the mic. But, and so I was able to do a 7-year drop as Battalion Chief. And my battalion, at Battalion 204, I think they were the best of the best. I mean, that's cool. Those guys, they just made me look good, you know, for the most part. Like, I think I put in my exit letter that we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a time when we went defensive in almost 4 years on a structure fire. They're always in there. You know, I tell them, I said, hey, we're searching for opportunity. We're not just searching for, you know, if there's survivable space. And I have a video of like a rescue that we did. I said, hey, this isn't technically survivable space. The police are like, nobody's alive in there. Well, she was. Right, and we rescued her. Guys, first cool. Fire, we did a Denver drill, and got her out of the house through an elevated window. And I'm like, we're searching for opportunities, and we're searching for searchable space, I guess, not survivable space, because searchable is up to us. Survivable is up to the man upstairs, right? Whether you believe it or not. So if we can occupy that space with our training and equipment, and that's different for everybody, that if we can occupy that space between Mrs. Smith and her emergency, we should put ourselves there, right? And that's kind of what I trained the guys with. And we went in and reviewed our calls, and we, talked about expectations. We talked about the weapons we had available to us. We talked about how to get water on the fire. And I can't remember, we didn't go defensive on fires. And the guys are using the terminology. Hey, Chief, I got searchable space in the back. Do you need a hose line to protect you or not? No, nope, we got it. Perfect. And watching them, I put one of their videos on Chief Miller on Instagram. Has 80,000 views and no bad comments other than, we shouldn't have clean cab. I was like, that's not up to those guys. That's administrative. But, they were solid. And if you listen to it in the battalion ride, I'm like, these guys aren't answering their radio.
Yeah.
Right? And they come up to me afterwards, and I'm like, they say, hey, Chief, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that or missed that communication. And I kind of laughed. I said, yeah. I said, at first I was frustrated, but then I sat back and went, they don't need me on this, right? They don't need to hear my voice. I only needed to know if they were safe here and had this uninterrupted water supply established at this point in the event. That's all the information that I needed to know, because all their reports were coming back solid. Coordinated fire attack with vertical or horizontal ventilation, primary all clears in, reaching our tactical objectives aggressively, and they didn't need me for that. And I sat back and went, that's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Yes, I would have loved you guys to answer your radio.
Yep.
Did you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you guys knew exactly what you were doing, and I'm watching you through the window perform, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So they're studs.
That is cool, man. And that's one of those things too you look at too. It's like process. We teach stuff like that. It's like process. People, why are we doing process? It's like train process, get to know process. Once you know process, understand process, then you can let the events unfold and you're able to move naturally in them because you have beaten in your head now as like muscle memory. Right. And the second you get on, and I used the analogy last time, but it was like my wife and sister-in-law do dance, and it's like they beat that hey, you do muscle memory constantly. Then when you hear the music, you naturally move to it because you already have the muscle memory. You know exactly what to do because you've done it so many times now that when that music turns on, it does not look like a choreographed thing. It looks like you naturally moving. And hearing that, man, it just seems like, it takes a great leader, obviously, but you do that and you get, beat it in their head almost. That this is the structure, this is what happens, this is the muscle memory you need, this process gets enforced, and then all of a sudden things just move. You don't even need it anymore. But it all happened on the training.
Right, and that's the thing, it's training. It all boils down to what you're doing with communication, your leadership style and skills, and getting them on the drill ground and making them, proficient on the drill ground, and then on the fire ground they're efficient. So, and it's just neat to watch. And at the end of my career, I brought in different people to talk to them about stuff. Like I could have done it, but it's nice to hear from, guys like Clark Lamping out of Vegas. Say, hey, come teach your big box class. Come share your experiences so my guys can hear it. I flew them in on my own dime. Most of them did it for travel only, thank goodness, you know what I mean? But I would have paid for it because I'm leaving my guys in a better spot. And the last thing I did for them is my cousin is a SEER instructor, and he used to work with some Navy SEAL guys and special ops guys. And I don't know if you know Chris Bloom from Meridian. They skydived together, and all of them, trained kind of in that special forces community. So I brought in one of their Navy SEALs from Tier 1,
that's cool.
SEAL Team 6 guy that
sweet.
had to do with the Jessica Lynch rescue, and I brought him to talk about leadership the last day for my guys. And
That's cool,
it was
man.
awesome.
That is really cool.
So it's just a neat part to end my career, to have those guys. And it showed you think you make a difference. And when you leave, they know I'm a big watch guy. I like watches. So these guys had a custom-made watch for me. It says Semper Aggressus, like always in the fight, from a World War II thing. In the dial itself,
That's
and then
cool.
on the back of it was engraved with our company logo, and it's a nice watch. And then they had a Kimber 1911 made for me with my challenge coin on the pistol grips, and each part of that challenge coin, I'll give you one before I leave. It's in my suitcase. It means something. you know, whether it's family, friends, you know, other conferences
That's cool,
or
man.
stuff. So it was cool when those guys gave me that, man. And I got to tell you, it almost brought me to tears. I'm like, you guys aren't going to make me freaking cry in front of you. I'm going to do my best not to. But, you know, when they give you something like that when you leave, you know you've had an impact on at least their careers and hopefully their lives, family values, whatever that is. Because I've screwed it all up at one point, right? So people ask me, and they're like, hey, man, you got experience. I said, yeah, I got experience. I got that through good judgment, and I got good judgment through poor judgment. So it all came full circle. So ask me how I screwed it up, and that's another thing we talk about is give them permission to screw up. So try it, and if you screw it up, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to do that on game day probably, but we're going to definitely do it here. Screw it up, I don't care.
That's what training's for.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So,
that is, I mean, and that's why I tell even a lot of I always go back to business things on this, you know, because it just all seems to tie in so well. But it's like, I have employees now who, you know, they make a mistake and it was like, oh man, I can't, it's like, if you make the mistake once, that's how I got to where I was. You know how I did it? Is I didn't know anything when I started, and I started just learning, and every single mistake I did, I promise you I didn't make it a second time.
Right.
The problem comes is when you let it go in 1 year and out the other, and then you make this mistake 2-3 times later.
Right.
But the second you make the mistake, that's when you're going to learn. It's like most businesses, like Fortune 500 businesses, other businesses where their son comes in and takes over, their daughter comes in and takes over the business. They have no real world experience. What happens?
Yep. Boom, in the tank.
The tank. But you learn yourself, that's when you actually learn. You got to mess up.
You got to mess up.
100%.
You have to mess up, and leaders have to be okay with you messing up. That's just it. You know, hopefully it's not an expensive mistake. That's what I tell them. Hopefully it's just not an expensive one or somebody that's going to cost somebody a life-changing event.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But we're going to get it. We're going to get through it.
So switching gears a little bit, typically I do this intro a lot earlier in this, man, but the conversation just starts going. So you have obviously Fire Nuggets. We talk about the Book of Andy. A lot of people know that about you. I want to get to that eventually. But before we get to that, I want to talk about what got you originally in the fire service. Where were you originally? And how many years did you serve in that? And was it in the same area?
Oh, yeah. So I actually wanted to be a cop. So
really,
yep, I wanted to be a cop. So I volunteered with our local sheriff's department, and I just did high angle rescue stuff. Volunteered until I could get on with either the sheriff's department or Phoenix PD. And as I was volunteering with the high angle rescue guys, most of them were firemen. So they're like, "Hey, we do this on the job. We get paid for it. So why don't you come right along with us?" So I said, well, I never considered to be a firefighter, so let me give it a shot. So I went and rode along with a couple guys from Phoenix Fire, and I loved it. I was like, this is kind of where it's at, you know. And technical rescue aside, which I finally got into early in my career and did it for a long time, you know, that's how it started. I started testing. I tested for Phoenix Fire, and then Peoria Fire, and then Mesa Fire, where I ultimately spent 26 years of my career. And at the time, thousands of applicants for very few positions. You know, 3,000 applicants for 30 positions in most of these spots. So Phoenix, when you took their test, you got invited to a physical agility, and then if you pass that in an interview, and then if you're, you know, perform highly, then you'd get invited to the academy. A lot of stuff's changed since then. So it took about a month or so to get the results from the written exam from Phoenix and Peoria both. Mesa did it Scantron on site. So they're like, you passed, and here's your interview date. So I was like, okay. It was like 3 days later. So did my first interview, and I said, okay, you passed. Here's your second interview. A couple days later again. And so next thing I know, I'm in my physical agility, and then I have a job offer by Thanksgiving where I received the letter from Phoenix that says, hey, you're invited to your physical agility. Well, the guys that were helping me in Phoenix said, just stay in Mesa. It's a good department, has almost everything we have to offer. You know, we've got, you know, 2 airports, technical rescue, hazmat. So again, the bike team, anything that some of these organizations have to offer, it's your fault if you get bored. So, and then some of the smaller ones that don't have those, you know, things to escape to, then that's where you see people kind of use those as stepping stones.
Gotcha.
But Mesa had everything that they had to offer and even more better benefits, you know. So I ended up staying in Mesa. So
And what year was that?
it was 99.
99?
January 11th, 1999 was the day I started the academy, which
Wow.
happened to be my 25th birthday.
Wow.
I retired January 11th, 2026, which happened to be my 53rd birthday.
Wow.
So I was on shift that day. So I said, you know, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to take vacation, and I'm going to bring a taco truck to the station, and I'm going to bring my entire battalion through.
Oh, cool.
And I talked to my boss, and I said, hey, man, can I do this? Can I get coverage? I'll bring in units here, and he's awesome. My last boss was fantastic. His name is Bob Luby. And he's like, dude, I'll support you. So I brought everybody through to say goodbye,
That's
you know,
cool.
and bought everybody dinner in my entire battalion that night and on taco trucks so we could, you know, give hugs and
Yeah.
bring your family by. My family was all out there. And then at 5 o'clock, we did a last call and, you know, came over the PA and whatever. I can't remember what it said, but it was an emotional
Yeah.
call for sure. And then 3 days later, I think I did my retirement party, which was epic.
That's-
Like I did I rented out an entire bar thanks to my friend Christina. She hooked me up, and then my friend Matt Harris, he has a band called the Superhero Band, and he does like all cover music, and he is an amazing singer and guitarist.
Really?
Yeah, he kind of used to moonlight with I think it was Stone Temple Pilots, you know, for a little bit, and he would help out with that. And him and his brother was my roommate, and he was murdered in kind of my first due. I was off that day, thank God. But I told him when he was a little kid and just kind of playing the guitar, I said, hey, man, you're going to play at my retirement party. And he did. So I brought his whole band
That's
in
cool, man.
with the entire state honor guard band. So I had, you know, 10 bagpipers and drums and this and that. But I asked him, I said, will you do me a favor? I said, will you please play Amazing Grace at my retirement? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah,
Interesting.
dude, but I want it Dropkick Murphys. So I want you to do it just like Dropkick Murphys. So kick in the guitar, start out with lead with the bagpipes. So again, my friend Mike Davis, who's, you know, I love that guy. I can't say enough good things about him. He is now the training captain out in Mesa. So thank God they let him, you know, despite me and all my bad antics.
You got to have video of this.
So I do. Yeah,
Do
it's,
you?
it's epic.
We're going to have to B-roll that right now in this episode and show some of this.
And yeah, so they just started leading in with Dropkick Murphys, and the bagpipes kicked in, and then the rock and roll, and it was awesome. And I think there was probably 200 people at that bar. At some point, the engines even couldn't get in, so I had to walk out to say goodbye to everybody.
That's a
And
cool
it was
moment.
awesome. It was cool.
That is really cool. So you were
So-
25, 27
I
years?
was 25 when 26 years when I retired. Yep.
All in the same
So,
department.
All the same department. Yep.
That's pretty cool, man. And so you took rank, you retired as battalion chief?
Battalion chief. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'll have to show you a picture, and maybe you could lead into it. But I got a picture of my daughter. She's 22 now, but she was 3 when I made captain, and or barely turned, maybe 2. And so I got a picture of her holding my captain's helmet when I got promoted, and her at 21 holding my chief's helmet, or 20
That's
holding
cool,
my chief's
man.
helmet.
That's cool.
At the station.
Yeah.
So and I rode in the right seat of a fire truck for almost 18 years.
Really?
Yeah, I never left the field. Never went on days as administration. I was the first chief that Mesa promoted that I'm aware of, right from an engine company to battalion, without having to jump through any administrative hoops, largely because none of the administration wanted to work with me. So
That's a story for
they're like, well, that guy could do this,
Yeah.
but I don't want to work with him.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It is pretty cool.
And I asked, and it's funny too, because if you watch some of our past episodes, I ask a lot of the guys who are on the show, I'm like, if you could go back, money's off the table, it's just you doing something in the fire service, back in your prime, what would be the job that you would have? And the majority of them say right seat captain.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was awesome. But I got to tell you, I really liked battalion chief more than I thought.
Really?
And I loved captain. I never thought I'd leave that position. And when I got promoted as battalion chief, I didn't miss being captain. I missed parts of it because whether you like it or not, you're not one of the guys anymore, right? You're still their boss. So thankfully they invited me to the dinner table still and still had lunch with them. We still did stuff. Again, I think largely because I'm a fireman's fire chief, right? And then I give them their space too. You know, I was told a long time ago, don't sweat the small things, and they're mostly small things, right? So once you can wrap your head around that, you know, you just guide those guys, mentor them, coach them, and help them through whatever mistakes they may have made. And so, like I said, when I left, I couldn't have left any higher, place emotionally, mentally, physically.
Yeah.
You know, when I left the fire department, all of those things were the best they could have been.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was neat. And then to boot, somehow, somebody had a momentary lapse of reason. Arizona has the largest fire department museum there. It's called the Hall of Flame, and it has, I don't know, hundreds of old apparatus back to the 1700s. And, horse buggy type of stuff. And it's just an amazing place to go. So if you're ever down there, you got to check it out for sure. It's the biggest one in the country. But on that, or in that museum, is a wall of, they call it the Fire Service Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And there are not many firefighters on it. Most of them are union people that did great things for us politically or benefits, stuff like that. Number one fire chiefs in there like Alan Brunacini and Dennis Compton and, Arizona legends, not unlike the Kevin Shays, the Ray McCormicks, that type of stuff, you know. I don't have any place, I don't belong on that wall. But one reason or another, they elected me and they put me on that dang wall before I retired.
What a cool honor, man.
So it was super cool.
That's
and
great.
So I got to give kind of a speech that I literally wrote in my seat at the Arizona State Fire School opening ceremony. My daughter's sitting next to me, and I'm sitting there disappointed in some of the speeches, none of them talking about stuff that matters. And I wrote my speech right there in the seat. And she's like, "What are you doing, Dad?" I go, I'm writing my speech to tell people what really matters in this job." And I went up
See
there.
that? Like, I get chills thinking about that, and it's a weird thing to get chills, but that's coming from the heart, man.
Yeah. So I just, hey, this is what matters, and a lot of that, like you said, it came straight from the heart. This is what matters to me. This is what matters to the fire service. This is what we're missing. Said this award might have my face on it, know. But it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to all of you that supported me along the way, and this is what really matters to us, not only organizationally, but in the fire service as a whole. So I don't belong there, but since I'm there, it's pretty cool to have my, grandkids to be able to go in there eventually and go, wow, that's my grandpa on that wall. So
that's cool, man.
But
it's
kind of cool.
And see, that's one of those things too. Like, there's always times too, and I talk to people sometimes when they come on this podcast, like, "Hey, Taylor, what are some of the things you're going to prepare?" It's like, I don't prepare anything because I want to have a natural conversation with somebody, because that's the realest conversation. You start talking to somebody, everybody knows about a lot of things that people have done, but at the same time, when you just hear from somebody and talk to somebody, that's when you start to hear stuff that's like, you know what, I can relate to that person. So it's really cool for me to hear you talk about, because I guarantee you, like, if I were to tell you next week, like, "Hey man, I need you to speak here in 20 minutes to this place," you'd be like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. I said, just get up there and talk. Yeah. You'd probably give the absolute best speech that you've ever had, because you just go from your heart, man. I wish I could have seen that, or that had to have been recorded too.
So it is. It's recorded. Yep. Yeah. And I don't consider myself a good speaker. So I've never really wanted to do a podcast. Corley Moore does the weekly scrap, which is a pretty good one, and it's live.
Yeah.
And they don't have set questions either. The audience asks the questions. He's like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" 5 years. I have the first Facebook post that he tested. I was like, "Dude, I'm an idiot. Like, you don't want me on your podcast. Like, I'm a buffoon." So before I retired, he's like, "Hey, dude, will you finally do this?" And I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun.
It's a blast.
It was a lot of fun just sitting there talking to him, and he's a stud.
Is he?
So, yeah.
See, it's fun when we have those natural conversations with people, man, just talking to them, get to know. I literally could probably just sit there and bullshit with anybody just because you're knowing people.
And like-minded people, too.
Yeah.
I mean, some fire service, leadership, business, whatever that is, if you can, find that thing that you relate to and get into that like-mindedness, is awesome.
Yeah.
And, for me, I always tell people I'm going to teach my way out of teaching. So when I leave, I always give them the presentation if they want it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it doesn't mean no good to keep this, right? And it's not mine. It's not proprietary. Go pick up a John Maxwell book, go pick up a Simon Sinek book. Go pick up a Jocko Willink or the Trident from Jason Redman. Like, I got a leadership bookshelf. Chris Bloom just wrote a book called Carry the Fire. It's all great leadership books. I didn't make this crap up. So, yeah, I just happened to compile it on something the way I understand it, and hopefully I can relate that to you.
That's cool.
That's
really cool. So we're going to have, tomorrow we're having David Rhodes on. He's going to come on. And so you and I chat a little bit. Talk to me a little about the Book of Andy. So I just heard about that here recently. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
So Andy Fredericks was one of the 343 firefighters murdered in 9/11. Mm-hmm. So he kind of was legendary in the fire service. Wrote a bunch of articles, Little Drops of Water, Father's Day, very astute and intuitive in the fire service. There's several people like that, the Alan Brunicinis and stuff, but Andy, taught at FDIC, and was ahead of the game for the most part, right? At least in nozzle work, fire service and stuff like that. So they had Andy's ambassadors, and he wrote a lot of articles for Fire Nuggets, which is a nonprofit out of Berkeley that just does fire training for firefighters. At some point, I became president of that for a few years. I took it over from a guy named David Sprague, who ran it for like 8 years, and the board is awesome. None of us are paid at all. So, and I think that's why it's successful. Everybody does it because we love it. Cool. So I still sit on the board and still the Arizona affiliate, but I'm going to give that up here soon. But anyways, when it started, the guys that started Fire Nuggets were friends with Andy and his wife. And so Andy used to write articles for Fire Nuggets. So they owned part of the copyrights for those articles. And then Andy also wrote for Fire Engineering, being a keynote speaker to the point where I had half the articles and they had about half for Fire Nuggets. So Bobby Hulton, at the time, was the editor-in-chief of Fire Engineering magazine, wanted to do the Book of Andy. So it had already been compiled by a guy named Gary Lane. So he had actually took the articles when they were free to download and downloaded all of the ones from Fire Engineering and downloaded them all from Fire Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And he basically made them free that you can download the PDF on whatever it was, MySpace or whatever social media back then, So people already had these articles and they were legendary. So then there's some bootleg hard copies. So anyways, none of it was really allowed to be published because of copyright, either through Fire Nuggets or Fire Engineering. So Bobby Hulton approached me and asked me if we could do this book. Fire Nuggets was pretty receptive to it, and we ended up just getting hung up on terminology, really. So it never did happen. So it was it was difficult to deal with through that time frame. And we worked on it for almost a year before we're like, no, I don't think this is going to work. And Bobby unfortunately passed away during that time frame from a heart attack, and David Rhodes took over Bobby's position.
Gotcha.
Well, ironically, David Rhodes was already scheduled to come out to Phoenix for a conference, and it just so happened in that time frame. So as David and I started to talk, I showed him, kind of what we had and where we left off with Bobby, and David's like, I think we could work with this, right? And David, being the guy that he is, he was super easy to work with. He's a fireman's fireman for sure. The most humble guy, one of the most humble guys that I met. He's just a true leader, and in my opinion, from what I had, we had that done in a month, him and I. We just sat down and said, hey, this is what we need. Why do you need this? I need this. Okay. To the point where like, hey, do you want to use our, Fire Nuggets logo for this? Because you can if you want. He's like, I can do this for you too. And just an awesome, down-to-earth, super fair, a righteous human being, and we got it done so easy, I felt like. And then it got published as the official Book of Andy, You know, and I was actually
That's
going
cool.
through my library the other day. I have all of those copies. The one that actually says compiled by Kerry Lane. I have the bootleg version, and now I have the official one. And they all sit by my 20th 911 Andy Fredericks custom nozzle that Elkhart made for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the nozzles all engraved with the Andy Fredericks logo. One of them, there are actually two, and most people don't know that. But the one on the nozzle says, thank you for always making the push with us, or something like that.
That's cool.
But if people look closely, and some people know, some of the challenge coins, the bail is actually shut, but the water is flowing. And we did that on purpose.
Interesting.
And so instead of an open bail, like on most of the logos or the patches, the bail is closed, but the water's coming out. And we did that to say, you can try to stop the information, but it's going to flow freely. You can try to shut it off.
That's cool,
But it's
man.
not. It's going to come whether you like it or not.
That's cool.
So if you notice that, and
Yeah.
you're like kind of that OG original, like Andy's ambassadors, you will see that on a lot of those the bail is shut, but there's water coming out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What year was that it was published?
2 years ago now.
Really?
Yeah, maybe
At
2 years.
FDIC?
At FDIC was the release. Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. So, and I think David did, it might have been the scrap again with Corley, and he mentioned that too. He's like, man, it was just super easy to get done. How it said, something like a highlight of his career to get it done. But man, down to earth guy. I love that guy.
That's
Can't
great.
say enough good things about him.
That's great, man. Yeah. So do you go to FDIC every year then, or no?
Not every year.
Really?
So I've gone a couple times,
Okay.
and I really enjoy it. Mostly to see my friends. I've actually never put in to teach there.
Gotcha.
Probably should have.
I'm sure that if you put it
But,
in, man, I'm sure that you would be one of the first candidates up there.
So I don't know. Like I said, I don't really consider myself I do it for fun.
That's great.
A great speaker. I definitely don't consider myself a great leader, which is hilarious. And I'm here to teach a leadership class. They suckered me in by, hey, you want to teach a mid-rise? I think then figure out if I was available.
I've heard about Sleigher. I've heard the last name Sleigher. You've been famous around our office for about the past month. The second we knew Chris Slayer's coming, we're all like, we're having Sleigher on.
Yeah,
like
right?
that's just.
Can you spell the name the cool way, like the band, not like Santa's sleigh with an ER?
Yeah, that's great, man. So what?
Yeah.
So you're still involved then with Fire Nuggets now, right?
Yep, still on the board.
Okay.
And one of the guys, Dave Colson from Glendale, and there's a guy from Phoenix that kind of want to take over the affiliate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not public yet, but so you'll hear it first. I'm going to try to go to the board and see if they can take over the affiliate, and I'll just stay on the board for the time being and try to do better things here. Because again, those guys are they're the game-changing next generation. I may have led some groundwork for them, but they're awesome. So they're going to run
great.
with this and make it better than I ever had it.
Yeah.
So I would like to let them.
That's great.
So yeah.
That's cool, man. So what's entailed for you now? So obviously you're retired. You're doing conferences like this. Do you have any other conferences coming up that you're speaking up? What's kind of your lay of the land now?
So I've been busy the last couple months for sure. I kind of want to teach my way out of teaching, to be totally honest. I got to teach a week-long class in Meridian. I'm doing some mid-rise stuff with my friend Jimmy Davis from Chicago, and that's a week-long. So that's next month. And then I bought a house in Missouri, a condo there right on the
nice.
lake of the Ozarks.
Oh,
so
great.
I kind of just want to spend some time up there and figure out something. I'd love to do something part-time. Just to keep my mind busy, but I don't want to miss any more soccer games. Like I said, I'm flying straight from here to my daughter's soccer tournament in Carlsbad. I've missed too much over 27 years of all the kids' lives, and they don't understand it because dad being gone is the norm.
Yeah.
But now that I don't have to, I still want to work, part-time somewhere doing something, and when I find it, I'll just walk through that door. Maybe not in the fire service altogether, which is fine with me. But we'll see. So
great.
I honestly don't know. I'm just enjoying retirement. I'm happy, healthy, 53. I feel like I'm not in a total round shape, even though round's a shape, So
Look like you're still out there, man.
I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm, more importantly, I'm mentally healthy as well.
Yeah.
So
That's great. That's important.
Great kids, a great girlfriend, and support right now. So it's been awesome.
How old are your kids?
So my two biological ones, Mackenzie is 22, and Blake is 14.
Okay.
And then I have a bonus daughter. My girlfriend and I have been together for 4 years, and I got a bonus daughter, Jenna.
Yep.
And she's going on 21 next month, so we're going to New York for her birthday.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And then my girlfriend has a son who's just turned 28. So he's an adult, but still, definitely part of the family.
Yeah.
But the three girls, they excel. They're all awesome. So it's cool being a girl dad.
Yeah, no, there is something. I mean, it's funny
Yeah.
because some of my guys I grew up with, they were just like, hey, they all had girls. There's something about when you have a girl, though, man, that it's just like it does change you a little bit. I'm telling you. And it sounds like one of your daughters is an entrepreneur, right?
Yep. My little one, I think, like I said, she'll rule the world for sure. My oldest, she just graduated with her bachelor's from Grand Canyon University in psychology.
Nice.
So I would like her capstone paper was fighting more than just fire. So she's talking about firefighters and first responders with PTSD and stuff like that. So I tried to talk her out of maybe dealing with, I don't want to say just substance abuse, but I said, maybe you don't deal with, that other type of people where they're in, homes and, homeless type of people, which absolutely need help, but I know she takes it home with her. I've seen it, and I don't want her to take it home with her. So I was like, hey, can you consider working with first responders, police, fire, military? So she did her capstone on fighting more than just fire. Cool. And I said, you're still getting the same thing. Unfortunately, the high divorce rate, substance abuse, domestic violence, you're going to get the same stuff, depression, suicidal tendencies, but you're going to get it with a different type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I would prefer you to do that. So I'm hoping she decides to do her own business, which she's been talking about, open her own practice. Maybe she can get support with the IAFF or somebody to help, first responders through whatever they're dealing with. And I told her I'm happy to share whatever stories you want as well and give her the resources. Yeah. Because no one gets out whole. So, but I'm as mentally and physically healthy as I could be after 26 years on the job. Right.
Yeah.
So, and again, some of my family is all military, so they see she has access to a lot of stories. So hopefully she'll excel doing that.
It's going that real quick. I mean, I don't want to sidebar you too much, but yeah, we had was it Derek, Ryan, who was on the last show? Darren Richardson. We had Darren Richardson on 2 episodes ago now after when this airs, and he talked about mental health and firefighters, man. And he said something that was so shocking to me. It's that the everyday person sees 1 to 4 catastrophic events in their lifetime, but firefighters anywhere from I think he said 700 to 1,100 in a lifetime.
It's you normalize it.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
like that's unbelievable.
Yep. So it depends on your resiliency network. Do you have one? Is it in place? What is it? So, but yeah, it is unreal, and we definitely need it. So I'm hoping she excels in whatever she's doing. I told her, I said, I would love to help you open your own practice if that's what you want. Yeah. My middle daughter, my bonus daughter, Jenna, she wants to go to nursing school. So she just got accepted she just applied for it, but she'll get accepted here soon, I think. So, which is awesome. She's smart kid, straight A's. I'm blessed.
That's great.
And then my little one, Blake, I think she'll probably just rule the world. She's the little entrepreneur. Like she opened up for my women's conference through Fire Nuggets. We had 160 women there. She was the keynote at 12. And,
good for her.
She does her patriotic speech every year. She's placed every year, took first place this last year. She just loves to public speak, and she's very good at it. And to watch her do that is amazing.
She learned from Dad, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So, but her mom is amazing as well. We're divorced, but her mom is really instrumental in there. She's a corporate litigation attorney. We don't see a lot eye to eye, but she's actually an amazing woman. So,
that's great.
But Blake, she wants to open her own hoodie business. It's her middle name. We pronounce it Ray, R-H-E-A, so it's spelled like Rhea, but technically it's supposed to be pronounced like that. It's Poseidon's mom, or the Greek god's mother. So, and I'm a water guy, so I named her after it. So I named her that. So So Ray is her middle name, so it's Ray Apparel, and she started her own hoodies. They're almost identical to the Comfort or White Fox.
Really?
They're super,
Oh, man. Good for her.
yeah, so hopefully she'll land a deal with one of the volleyball clubs, and I think she just did it, which is a huge thing for her, like over probably around 20 grand or more.
Man.
So I'm watching this kid do this presentation from the corner of the room just so I can answer questions, and she's a young woman at 14.
That's fantastic.
And to watch her do that is super cool.
That's really cool,
So
man. Yeah.
hopefully she'll figure out how to, do a TikTok shop or something on Shopify to where I don't have 1,000 hoodies in my garage anymore. But if I can figure out distribution, that'd be amazing.
That's awesome, man.
I need her to do that because I'm not that smart.
That's awesome, man. No, it's something to be special. We talked about there's something special about when your kids go and do something.
Right.
It's like you never realize it. And for those watching, don't even have kids now. And one day you'll understand. It's just there's something that you just take. Like I used to always think to myself, if I have a kid one day, I'm like going to be competing with this kid. It's like it's the extension of yourself, man. And there's something just so rewarding about seeing your kids do something that's just like, and even making mistakes too.
Right.
You're just like, there's something that's like, are you going to learn from this? Or are you just going to, how are you going to learn from these things? Right. Extremely rewarding, man. So that's got to be a lot of fun for you.
For sure. I know we sidebarred with your daughter's podcast too, but I was like, man, you should just open that for this one.
I know. We should, man. It looks a lot better than this side does, for sure. All the pink behind there and everything else.
It is super cool to watch them excel and do stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. Anything else we should hit on? Anything we didn't hit on you'd like to bring up?
Oh, man. There's so much. I mean, we could probably just talk for hours. After 26 years, and, there's stuff that I've just plain forget.
Yeah.
I'm blessed enough to come out here to these conferences and share the information while I still have it.
Yeah.
Again, you always want to deliver a good product, and you've been doing this, like I've been doing it since 2014. So part of me is like, how come I'm still teaching the same stuff? And then, they got an academy every year. They appreciate the information. Like, eventually I'll teach my way out of teaching because, like I said, nothing's proprietary. I didn't make it up. But yeah, there's so much we could, talk about. I wouldn't know where to start and end.
Well, I'll say though, we really appreciate, the Backstep Symposium that we do. I know here with KCFR, Coeur d'Alene, Fire, and then many other departments around the area that are just constantly helping out with this. But to raise money for the Jeff Welch Foundation, JW Memorial Foundation, we did it last year in the golf tournament, and for you to come out and help out with this year means a lot to North Idaho and to this area, man. So we really do appreciate you being willing to come out here and share your knowledge with everybody. It means a lot to the community, I know. It means a lot for the foundation as well.
Yeah, it's an honor to be out here too. And plus, I've made a lot of good friendships over the years. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
So.